In this lesson, we'll quickly review tab stops that you learned yesterday, and in addition, you will learn how to apply special indentations and also apply paragraph spacing. So the first thing you want to do, we'll start off with reviewing our tab stops. So let's say that we want to place a tab stop here on the line where it says July 14th. On this line, we're only going to apply it to this line for right now. We're going to click there, and on our ruler we'll go up, and let's say that we want to put it at 4 inches. So we can click on the 4, we can add a left tab stop. So the left tab stop is now on the ruler, but if I hit my up arrow and click on a different line, there's not one set there and there's not one set below, and that's because we only were clicked on one line. I didn't select multiple lines and try to set one. I only clicked on this one line. So now that we have this set, I'm going to go ahead and hit the tab key and move that over. So in a sense, it looks like we have space here, but when in fact we just moved this over to the tab stop, so it created a space for us. Now in this letter that we're using to format, if you notice, Melissa Vaughn all the way down to Atlanta, Georgia, this is an address to where we're sending, okay, where we're sending this. If you notice now, Dear Ms. Vaughn, that is the greeting line, and all of this is the body until you get down to sincerely. That would be the closing. So the first thing that we want to do is select Dear Ms. Vaughn all the way down to thank you for your time and consideration. What I want to do is I want to add space after every paragraph. And technically, if you look at this, you think to yourself, oh, I was excited all the way down to the word doors as a paragraph. And you're right. But Dear Ms. Vaughn would be considered a paragraph because you strike enter at the end of that line. So Google Docs looks at it as, okay, this is its own paragraph. So is this one, because we struck enter after doors, after ever, after management, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to teach you about paragraph spacing. If you come up to your roller, or not your roller, above your roller on your toolbar, you'll click line and paragraph spacing. Now you all know by seeing the check mark that single spacing is set, but this is for your lines. So each one of my lines here is single space. I don't want to use line spacing and change. I want to change the paragraph spacing. So we could use one of these and just add space before each one of these paragraphs, but this is going to be a default space, so it might add 10 points of space before each paragraph. So I'm going to go in and do what these two buttons do, but I'm going to put a specific number. So let's click custom spacing, and notice this is line spacing. I'm going to go down to paragraph spacing. I want to put space before dear. I want to put space before I was excited above it. Same thing with both as a patron. And I want to do it all at once. So if I go to before and I type 12 points of space, when I click apply, notice I now have 12 points of space above, 12 points of space below, okay? Meaning before each paragraph. Why is this below when I only said before? Well, before this paragraph there's space, and before this paragraph there's space, and so on and so forth. So now I have it neatly formatted so that each one of my paragraphs are single space with basically a double space in between. Now down here where it says awarded Associate of the Year, successfully set up and created and executed innovative POS, select those 3 lines. Use your shortcut key Control-Shift-8 to put on a bullet list. Notice when you do that, it changes the way it looks and keeps it single spaced, and that's fine. Now, I purposely left off selecting some of this information down here so that you can see that there are other ways to put space between paragraphs. This was just very easy. I selected them all, and I was able to apply paragraph spacing, and it spaced it out for me. But it is definitely okay if you click, let's say, before the word sincerely and hit enter. It adds just as much space here as it is up here. Click in front of Nina's name. You're going to strike the enter key 1, 2, 3, 4 times because you need to create space that when you print this letter out, you can sign your name right here. That would authenticate the document stating that you wrote this and everything in it is valid and true. Additionally, I want to change these two lines right here at the bottom, the closing and the writer's identification. These two lines need to match up with my date line. So remember, when we clicked up here, we set a 4-inch left tab stop. So to do this down here, let's save ourselves some time. Select sincerely. Then with your other hand, hold down the control key now after selecting that first line, hold control and select this second line. We can select non-adjacent lines and apply a left tab to both these lines only. So come up to your ruler and click 4 inches and apply a left tab stop. You applied it, so now you have to actually use it. So click in front of sincerely and hit your tab key and move over. So what you are creating here is a business letter. It's a block style, but actually it's a modified block style because everything doesn't stay flush to the left margin. Most of it does, but there are a few lines that are modified, like the date line, like the closing, and then the writer's ID. You can go as far as saying, hey, I want this to be block style, but I do want to put on first line indents. First line indents here on each paragraph. So if you select all of your paragraphs at the top, yes, this is a paragraph even though it's 5 words, hold down control and then select your last one. I now want you to go up to format and go to align and indent, and let's go all the way down to indentation options. So I just mentioned I want you to put a first line indent. Yes, you could hit the tab key, but make sure left and right are 0 because we don't want to change the left indent. We don't want to change this right indent. We want to put just a first line indent here. So under special, you're going to click first line. You can leave it at 1/2 inch and apply. And notice that it applies to every paragraph all at once. The last thing that I want to show you is another type of indentation, a special indentation called the hanging indent. So when you look at this bullet point list, there's a left indent put on. So all of this is indented from the left-hand side. And there's also a hanging indent. And I'll show you how you know that these two are put on. So go to Format and go to Align and Indent and go to Indentation Options. Notice it's indented from the left 0.25, okay, which probably would look better if it was the same as our first line indent, which is 0.5. So we could go in and change that, but I'm going to leave it go for right now. Hanging indent. Let's go in there and click None on purpose. We're going to take the hanging indent off so you can see what happens. Click Apply. If you notice, if I take the hanging indent off, I could type this information, and when it goes down to the second line and continues, notice that it'll be out here. And that's not what you want. When you have bullet points, all the words should be underneath the previous lines. So in a sense, a hanging indent means that the first line, the bullet point with the words, will hang out here, and the second line will be indented. We're going to go ahead and put that back on. So select all of these, go to Format, Align and Indent, Indentation Options, and then let's go here and put on Hanging 0.5 and apply it. Now if we want to, that left indent, we can move these in further. So let's go up and do it using these two buttons, Decrease and Increase Indent. Obviously, if I wanted to go to the right, I want to increase the indent. So let's click Increase Indent. So now I've increased it even more. So let's see what we have applied, because it's hard to see here. Okay, it looks like a left of 1.25, right? And a first line of 0.75. So let's see. 0.75. And then you add another 1/2 inch, which gives us the 1.25 all the way in here. We could make this 0.5 if we wanted and apply it so that this falls right under the 1/2 inch. But the way it looked prior, and I'm going to hit Control Z, looks just as nice as well. It depends if you want it to go down another line or not, if you want to save some space. But remember, bullet points should always either align up or be indented a little bit underneath, the previous text. So there you have it. Tab stops, paragraph spacing, special indentations.